Euromaxx highlights. Coming up on the show, flying high, we head to Finland for the Arctic hot air balloon adventure. Timeless creations. Richard Sapper is a top industrial designer from Germany. Winter Wonderland. Euromaxx takes to the slopes in snowy Slovenia. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
And a very warm welcome from Berlin. We begin with high fashion in Paris and a young couturier by the name of Alexis Mabille. He started his career working for top fashion houses like Christian Dior and Yves Saint Laurent, but set up on his own a couple of years ago. His clientele is very select and they must all have a love for one thing, the bow tie, or at least the shape of it, as this is his passion and his trademark.
Bow ties in every imaginable shape, size and design. Alexis Mabille loves bow ties, and they're a recurring feature of his fashion for men and women.
It's fun to play around with bow ties and use them where you least expect them. Here I've made a brooch out of 2 feathers covered in gold leaf. These shoes have a little bow on the heel and all around the edge. And this short evening dress has a draped bow on the front. It can also be used as a pocket that you can open and close. And there are little bows all around it.
31-year-old Mabille comes from Lyon. After studying at a famous haute couture school in Paris, he spent 9 years designing jewelry for Christian Dior. Then he launched his own label.
Even when I was very young, I wanted to have my own label. I wanted to have fun and just make clothes that I really wanted to make.
Mabille has brought fresh creativity into the world of fashion. Many of his clothing items can be worn by women and men. Men's fashion become women's, and vice versa. The design for this cashmere coat was inspired by a man's shirt.
Hello.
His clients love his one-of-a-kind fashion, clothes that exude a certain je ne sais quoi. The fabric for the edging of this jacket came from a flea market. Mabille turned it into a whole host of different bows. The jacket cost 6,000 euros, but for that price, the new owner will get a unique fashion item.
I find his fashion very chic and luxurious. You're not just wearing a beautiful jacket that looks good on the outside, but inside it has lots of pretty details, things that no one else will see apart from me. I also like the ambiguity between male and female fashion and the androgynous edge to his clothing.
When Mabille designs a new dress, it's almost always with the help of his sister-in-law, Meurthe Mabille. She's been working with him since he started out.
The whole collection is created around Meurthe, with the exception of some of the suits I used male models for. She's an inspiration for me, even if that happens subconsciously. But I suppose you could say that Meurthe is my muse.
And when the fashion show is over, it's Meurthe who's allowed to wear the bridal gown. After all, Alexis Mabille's is a family business, and one with a bright future.
In our fast-moving world, here's most probably the most tranquil way of getting around, and the one with the best views. We're up in the skies in a hot air balloon in northern Finland, where at this time of the year, everything is frozen. So this is a bracing adventure, to say the least.
The resort of Levi in Finnish Lappland is located over 200 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle. Here, temperatures often fall to -30 degrees Celsius in the daytime. Levi hosts the world's most northerly hot air balloon event. This year, teams from Holland, Germany, Belgium, and Russia are taking part. The first step is to fill the balloons with 3,600 cubic meters of hot air. Gabi Sontag is the only woman in the field.
You have to be careful because there are a lot of snow-covered places where you can't land. Well, you could land, but you wouldn't be able to get away again easily. You really have to think about what you're doing.
Gabi is a professional pilot from northern Germany with over 20 years of experience. She used to fly passenger planes before switching to hot air balloons. Even getting off the ground is a challenge under these conditions.
We've just attached the gas canisters, but the tubes are incredibly hard in these temperatures. And that makes everything a bit slow going. But the pressure's okay, so it should work fine now.
And then finally, it's time for takeoff. Heated to 42 degrees Celsius, the air provides upward boost. The balloon rises faster here than in other areas due to the sub-zero air temperature. It soars up to a height of 1,200 meters. Leaving the ground far below. The balloon is now left to glide through the air.
They can't hear us. Now we can feel a bit of wind from through the mountains. That will divert us a bit. The wind is silent. It's nature in its purest form. I can't think of anything more beautiful.
The pilot has to keep track of the precise direction of the air currents. Balloons don't have normal steering controls.
No, 500 is all right for the time being, no problem.
We pass over the unending snow-covered forests of Lapland. It's a breathtaking experience. After an hour in the air and having covered 35 kilometers, it's time to land.
There's a bit of wind down there.
The rate of descent suddenly seems to increase. The balloonists have a frozen lake in their sights. The landing is the most challenging part of a balloon trip. There's a lot of wind today, and the balloon tips over on touchdown.
It was a sporty landing in the snow, but it's so cold I can hardly speak.
The other pilots don't fare much better either. A team of helpers is quickly on the scene.
You have to know what you're doing and where you're going. There are places up here where no one can come and get you. So it's really an adventure.
Today's event passes off without incident. After sundown, it's time for some frosty festivities. And the radiant stars of the show are, once again, the balloons.
Richard Sapper received the German Design Prize for Lifetime Achievement this year. In a career that spans over half a century, he's produced some of the iconic designs of our time, revolutionizing mundane objects like table lamps and kettles. He's been called the man who has never done a bad design, and even though he's now in his 70s, he's still striving to live up to that title.
From iconic lamp designs to user-friendly laptops, Richard Sapper has left his signature on a range of memorable products. His guiding principle is, give form a function.
I'm always excited about new things, things I haven't done yet, because with each new challenge you learn something new.
Sapper, now 76, was born in Munich. He studied business at university, but came to realize that his true passion lay in design. His breakthrough came in the late 1950s, when he designed this mirror for the Mercedes 300 SL Roadster. He soon moved on.
It was my first job. After 2 years, I left the firm. I realized I wasn't the right person to work in a big company. The main reason for that was that I was simply averse to doing what my boss told me to do.
For 50 years, Milan has been Sapper's adopted hometown. It was here that he created the countless design classics that won him a plethora of awards. His works are featured in the permanent collection of New York's Museum of Modern Art. One of his oldest pieces is the static table clock.
All the table clocks available at the time were Baroque or very traditional in styling. Somebody approached me and asked if I would design him a modern table clock. I said, of course, I only design modern things. And this is it. And it's stable. It's surprising that it doesn't fall over. And even if you tip it over, it'll right itself.
In 1972, Sapper designed the revolutionary and energy-efficient Tizio lamp. Its springless and wireless design adorns offices across the world.
Tizio has the same kind of bulb as a car headlight. That was something new back then. It was the first halogen lamp ever to be used domestically.
Sapper is still on a daily quest to design innovative new products, sometimes working on 10 or 20 items at the same time. But a lot has changed since he started out. In these times of economic turmoil, he considers product styling more important and interesting than ever before. Designers are faced with new challenges.
For 6 months now, we've been living in a new world. People think twice about what they really need to buy and what they don't. People just don't have the money to buy everything. And then you have to ask, what do we really need?
Richard Sapper sees no point in creating disposable fashion trends. He prefers to continue focusing on striking but subtle designs, reduced to their functionality. Timeless classics.
Fascinating man. Now, if you're interested in modern architecture, here's something for you. City maps tend to feature historical landmarks like palaces and monuments, but never more recent additions to the urban landscape. That's why 2 architects here in Berlin came up with the idea of Archimaps, where modern buildings are signposted so you can find them.
Always on the outlook for new motifs, Niels Peters and Gerd Kaiser are experts on urban developments. One of the 80 buildings featured on the Berlin Archimap is the St. Canisius Church in the Charlottenburg district, built in 2002. Every building featured on the map must be less than 15 years old and accepted by the whole team.
Discussions were fairly simple because we have similar tastes and opinions. It's like anything else. If you have completely contrary opinions on architecture, it won't work. And we were quite fast when it came to deciding what to keep and what to scrap.
The buildings featured in the Berlin Archimap range from churches to embassies. Also included, the Jewish Museum by U.S. architect Daniel Liebeskind in Berlin's Kreuzberg district. You can find it in any tourist guidebook, but instead of listing opening hours and parking facilities, the Archimap explains that the building is coated with titanium zinc. Each building is portrayed in detail on one side of the map, and 10 tour suggestions are listed on the back. Josephine Cox from Switzerland and her friend Maren Becker, who lives in Berlin, take about 10 minutes to get from the Jewish Museum to the next stop on their tour. It's the headquarters of a housing society. It was built in 1999 and is the work of the German-British architect duo Sauerbruch and Hutton.
It's a nice building, but I don't think I would have found it or paid much attention to it without this guide. It's the headquarters of a housing society and not some kind of museum or exhibition hall, and there's actually no reason why I would have come here otherwise.
With Berlin, Hamburg and Munich under their belts, Niels Peters and Gert Kaiser are now collecting photographs for the next editions. This summer they plan to publish an English translation of the Berlin Archimap. A map of London is work in progress, as is one of the French capital.
Of course, Paris is completely different from Berlin, Hamburg, or Munich. Modern architecture in Paris has a very different standing. People usually associate Paris with classical architecture. So it's tempting to say, no, wait a minute. They're building interesting modern architecture in Paris. That's definitely worth featuring and discovering.
The Archimap has helped the two explorers discover a thing or two about the German capital.
I enjoyed the tour because it gave me a chance to take a closer look at the city I live in.
It was a great day. I don't think I'd have done it without the guide. It wasn't your typical city tour.
But even when you are out discovering Berlin's contemporary architecture, don't forget to admire the city's older buildings and monuments as well.
Berlin, old and new, I can definitely recommend it. We continue now in a winter wonderland in the Alps, right in the eastern corner in Slovenia. The country is wedged between Austria in the north, Italy to the west, and Croatia to the south. It's really just in the past decade that the wonderful slopes have been discovered by winter sports fans from all over Europe.
Alpine romance, Slovenian style. One of the smallest countries in the EU, Slovenia is now one of the top European destinations for winter sports enthusiasts. 10 kilometers from the capital Ljubljana lies the resort of Krvavec, almost 2,000 meters above sea level. The man in charge of the slopes here is Mako Grevinsk. He oversees up to 14,000 skiers an hour.
Now that Slovenia has joined the EU, we want to revamp the ski lifts. We're looking for assistance to help us meet the standards of other European ski resorts.
The promise of 100 days of snow per year lures tourists from all over Europe. Aside from a large number of ski slopes, there's also a half-pipe for snowboarders.
We thought we'd try somewhere different, somewhere new, and it's fantastic, really good. So I think it's as good as somewhere like Austria now, and people should definitely come here more often. It's a regular place. Excellent, really like it.
Reasonable prices and Slovenian hospitality attract almost 1.5 million tourists a year.
I've been to Austria and Italy before, and this is actually much better than both of the resorts that I went to. I found the people really friendly around here, just when you get on and off of things and having a drink in the bar. It's just been a great holiday, and we've loved it every second.
The Igloo Hotel is a unique highlight. After spending a frosty night directly on the Krvavec mountain, you can wake up here to find the slopes literally at your front door. The innovative idea takes ski tourism in Krvavec to new heights.
Slovenia is a really beautiful country for skiing, and if you have an opportunity to sleep in Igloo Hotel, it's really great. Now I must go to skiing.
And there's plenty of room here on the spacious and anything but overcrowded slopes. With dozens of ski resorts to choose from, Slovenia is truly a booming winter sports paradise.
And some of these reports can be found on the internet at youtube.com/Deutsche Welle English, all one word, if you want to see anything again. But that's all for now, so goodbye.